Hello guys, Radio Psych here. Now, this is actually something I actually completely forgot to talk about and just recently realized it, to be frank. There's actually been a lot going on, but since I've had the extra time, I've had some extra time to think, to say the least. And I've, of course, told you guys some of the reasons why I don't trust cheap vendors. Now, one of the reasons I, of course, have said is just a simple fact that you see these dolls, they're so cheap, and sometimes it just kind of makes you think, is this a scam? Is this the real deal? Am I going to order this thing and then I get either a blow up doll or I get nothing? Well, that's, I would say, one of the bigger reasons. But another reason why I tend to not trust these sites is because of the simple fact that that will also mean that the material isn't very good, and it will also mean that it might not be very good for you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I am trying to tell you guys why not to do it yourself, because not every cheap vendor for TPE is the same. To say the least, some of them are fine, maybe to acceptable, and some of them kind of aren't, to say the least, especially, of course, the scammers. Now, basically what I'm talking about here, about it not being good for you, now you guys might have looked into these TPE dolls and how they might be a bit more oily than, let's say, silicone, especially if it's not like a, let's say, platinum version or a platinum-based TPE. And the reason why is because I'm just going to use some peanut butter here to kind of demonstrate. Now, as you can see, this is all natural, low sodium peanut butter. Now, not too long ago, I actually learned that with peanut butter, and now I'm not too big of a chemist, so I'm not going to name all the minerals and all that about peanut butter, of course, but now there's also oils in peanut butter, just like there is in TPE, right? Now, when it's natural, you see a little bit of oil in there. When it's natural peanut butter like this, they don't put anything in it. Yeah, I'm mixing my words up here. They don't put anything in the peanut butter that keeps that oil from coming up to the top and showing itself. Now, when it's not natural, peanut butter, they tend to put something into it that keeps the oils from rising to the top, which is why every time you open the top and you look into it, it's like, oh, there's no oil on the top, when it's not completely natural, of course. And now it's kind of the same with TPE. Now, sometimes with those cheap, especially those really cheap vendors, they don't put anything to keep the mineral oils from coming up and rising up from the material, which is not very good for you. And it's just kind of their way of making the doll cheaper and everything. And it typically isn't very good for you, especially if you aren't caring for your doll a lot, which is, of course, the other reason why I tend not to get TPE dolls are too oily, of course. And with that being said, if you're able to, try to look into what company you're buying the doll from, if you can, and see if, just any, vendor in particular, see if it's kind of an oily blend. If you see that it's kind of an oilier blend, of TPE than, let's say, leading dolls or other, doll vendors and how they make their dolls, I would highly recommend just not doing it. Because what that means is that, if you just lay this thing in bed, the next day you're going to wake up and you're going to see a whole thing of oil just sitting there. coming out of the doll, and I'm pretty sure you do not want that. And also, what that means is more dirt. That means there's going to be more bacteria, possibly even actually. It also, with it being so dirty, it's not going to be as good for you. It's not going to be clean, especially if you're somebody that has a lot of, let's say, allergies. It's just not very good for you. Now, I don't have a lot of allergies in particular, thankfully, but even so, I just tend to prefer, dolls that don't leak, to say the least. With that being said, I'll end this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.